Hi, everyone. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Solicitous. Carolyn, Ginger, Stella, thanks for being here. Thanks for coming back. So just a little recap, guys. First of all, I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. And Ginger, it's hot here today too. I think it's going into up to the 30s today. Yeah, so I'm in my she room, it's called, upstairs. It's all done for me with all my she stuff. And I kept the dark blinds down and tried to keep this room as cool as possible because we didn't put the air conditioning in yet up here because the weather actually hasn't been all that nice so far. And it's still very cold through the night. Like last night I woke up, I was freezing. But it's actually not too bad up here right now, but once the sun hits a certain side of the house, it's gonna get pretty hot. Um, hello from Nova Scotia. Well, I'm from Nova Scotia too. I'm from Pictou County, um, from where Lily and Jack went missing. So I'll give a little recap for anybody that's new to this. I mean, I'm sure most of you are not, but there are some. Um, so Lily and Jack, Lily 6, um, Jack 4 went missing from Garlock Road, Lansdowne Station here in Pictou County, where I am from. And they didn't go missing too far for where I'm from. It was 32 here yesterday, air quality warnings today. Oh, wow. Yeah. I can imagine how stagnant the air becomes. Yeah. We have really bad humidity here. It's pretty bad. Excuse me. Muggy. Oh my gosh, it gets so muggy, and I hate when it's so bad the floors feel gross. Because you can wash them 20 times and they still feel yucky and gross. It's just the mugginess. Yeah. Um yeah, so like I said, so Jack and Lily, and they went missing from here in Pictou County, from where I am from. And uh they have yet to be located. Their stepfather is Daniel Martell, um, who they lived with. Their mother, Malaya Brooks Murray. They weren't married, but they lived together. And here in Canada, well, each province may be different, but here in Nova Scotia, you are considered common law. Now, when my husband, who's my husband now, he when we were together, we moved in together before we were married. It was a year. Now it may have changed, but after that, you're considered common law, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's the government pretty much forces that on you for tax purposes, of course, right? So because it saves them money, so you have to do your tax as a married couple. If you were to separate and go your own way, you're considered a married couple, so it's half and half. If wanted, if people wanted to do that, so that's how it works here. So I say stepfather because, and he was in their lives for 3 years as well since they were babies. So, yeah, so that is Daniel Martell and the mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, and they also have a child together. So Lily and Jack go missing. Now, presumed that they wandered off into the woods, and they have yet to be located. And myself and other channels have been following this case. It is about Jack and Lily Sullivan. You see in my intro that very last word that goes on to, if you pay attention to it, my intro is actually telling a story. It's a three-piece story. I don't know if anybody picked up on that. Some people don't pay attention to that stuff, but it's a three-piece story of why things like this typically take place. Um, and so the very last thing, statement that you see go up in that intro, it says, "Keep the case alive." And that's what this is about for Lilly&Jack Sullivan, right? So, Malaya, the day after the kids went missing, left and the property with her family and never returned. And there was some, you know, curiosity as to, well, what was taking place there. Well, since all this has happened, and we have, myself and the others who have been keeping this case alive, we, let you all know that, well, there was a reason for that. It had to do with a couple of things. Rugs. And if you're not aware of all this, you can go back to my videos or seek out the other channels following the story. One is a Crimimg shame, and you can see it right in the picture there that I have up, because this is credit to them for the two things we're going to discuss here today, regarding the timestamps. And so yeah, so, we touched on all of that, keeping everyone up to date as to what's going on here. So, we've all come to learn that that has to do with rugs being in the home, belonging to Daniel, and Daniel having addictions. And also due to the blanket that was located, and he lied about. So we've up until now have discussed things that have come out, to be evidenced as fact regarding Daniel's lies. And so what we're going to touch on today is more of that. So one of the things he had lied about was a blanket that was found that belonged to Lily, and he lied and said that was not Lily's. Now that's a big whopper, because who in the world, and I don't care what rug you're on, and that's a rug with the D for anybody that doesn't know YouTube code, just to help you out. Um these things, who would do that? Who would do that? That you're looking for the children that you just contacted RCMP to let them know that your children are missing, and now they're looking for them, and they come with a piece of evidence, and you lie and go, nope, that's not Lily's. That, giant, ginormous red flag. Just no, you don't do that. So I'll just take a look at the comments here. I see there's lots of them and lots of new folks here. So I'll go back up. Ginger. D, Nova Scotia. So I'm assuming you're from Nova Scotia too. Hey, Nova Scotia from Stellarton, thank you for all you do. Well, thank you for being here. I think this is important, and these topics I've always, you know, it just bothers me, and we have to learn how to do better. And if this does involve rugs, and that these kids may have, you know, unfortunately gotten into some rugs, if we don't know, right? But that is definitely one scenario. Um, that would be our first case of anything like that happening here in Pictou County, due to the rug epidemic. And that's what it is. It's an epidemic. It's, to me, the worst that we're dealing with. Yeah, it actually, it's a pandemic, honestly, because it's right straight across the globe. Thank you for being here. Steve, hello from Halifax, Nova. Hi, Steve. Thanks for being here. So another Nova Scotianer. Um, and Nova Scotia. I'm from Stellarton as well, so I've stayed at that before. Forced marriage, Canadian style. I know, Ginger. All for the tax dollars, you know. You know how it is. Um, Hello, everyone. Hello, Dee. And if anybody wants to come up on panel with me, and you don't have to show your face, you just click your camera off, and the little circle like mine will come up. And you don't need a picture or anything. You're certainly welcome to come up and have discussion with me for the audience. And yeah. Were Lily and Jack listed as dependents on Daniel's income tax? Well, that would be up to how they did their income tax, because I mean, I can tell you just from being a woman with 2 children and having a husband, that's they base that on your income tax, so it wouldn't matter. Um, they look at it and decide you would be the best to have and it's actually only one child that you can do that with, not more than one. They changed that as well. You're only allowed to do one until that one ages out, and then they go to the next one. Yeah. Radmila Rickson. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, and I'm sorry if I'm not. Hello, I'm new here. Well, welcome. Welcome to the channel, and thank you for being here. Ginger, in my opinion, Malaya's lawyer should come out and make a statement on her behalf at the very best. Well, and maybe he will soon. You know, I hear what you're saying, and I agree. That would be good. Um, and we never know why that's not happening. He certainly seems like he's probably a very good lawyer from what I've read of him. I don't know if you've seen the video I did where I read his a profile on him and his sister. They both seem very intelligent. And I said upstanding, but now I'm kind of with what she did to Belinda. But again, I look at both sides of the coin, and I know emotions are just crazy right now with all of this, and the craziness that was stirred because of a certain person. And we're not going to go there because that was most of the last show live I did, and comments. I tried to keep up with the comments, and as best as I could. Normally, I wouldn't go that deep into it, but I felt it's an important topic to deal with and just be able to push aside and move forward and keep the case alive for Lily and Jack and the focus on them. So, and I feel that's been done. So, but I have to say, Ginger, I am very happy that Malaya's mother sent these 2 messages out. She sent them to Alana, and Alana shared them with Sunny from It's a Criming Shame. So if anybody is here is not familiar with that channel, please check it out. I will put it in the description box once I'm done of doing this live. I usually go back in and put more information in there. Yeah. Steve, I didn't know these true crime channels existed until Jack and Lily went missing. You guys are phenomenal. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. I didn't know that the other true crime channels existed. I was doing a little bit of my own touching on, abuse of children. And there was one video I did that just went crazy, and I got a crazy amount of views on it, which I never expected. I did not expect. I just was watching something take place, and I was so upset about it because to me it was just, this is the way the world ticks, and I find it so disgusting. Certain people that were on, oh gosh, yeah, I'm not going to remember the name of it. Oh gosh. But it has to do with an organization to assist abused children and whatnot. And, you know, two of the people that were on it are abusers, men. And so, you know, I did a story on that and I just spoke my truth. And that video just went crazy. And I believe it was the first or second video I did. And then I touched on a few other things, you know, something I had reported years ago of a predator online and, you know, me reporting him and the outcome of that and stuff. And then this happened. And so then, of course, I was definitely going to touch on this because it's in my area. And, and so, and by touching on this, well, what had happened, I put a little blurb out because Malaya, you know, was concerned about, um, an Amber Alert and that she wanted one. And when the Vulnerable Alert come out, which you can see there in the picture, um, emergency alert, missing vulnerable persons, Lilly&Jack. I thought that was an Amber Alert because we don't deal with this around here. I've never, you know, seen what an Amber Alert looks like, and I thought that was our Amber Alert. But I thought it's a day too late and I want to spread this quicker. So I went on and did a little video. And then later on, either through the night or the next morning, I received a message and somebody had said, Grizzly picked up the story you're touching on. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's awesome, right? Because Grizzly True Crime, um, she's big, you know. And I did know of her. I knew of her and Gavin. Gavin, I can't remember his last name, but they're a little different than these other channels. And but I had no idea of a Criming Shame, Dolly, Justin, um, oh gosh, there's 2 or 3 more that I'm not thinking of, but I was not aware of this community at all, and then I found out through this, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did. Um, residence was searching 2 to 3 times. Yes, by police. Yes, I read that by Belinda. Yeah, 2 times on one day and then another time on the next day. Only evidence of drugs is very sketchy statement by Haley. No, no, Daniel's admitted it. He hasn't denied it. He goes to meetings. He was in It's a Criming Shame and they were talking. I watched the whole thing in the chat as they chatted about it, and he doesn't deny it. He says that he's has random checks done for drugs because of, you know, where he has to be able to see the baby through CPS. Um, and for anyone that is not up to date on this, Daniel was not allowed to see the baby that he and Malaya have via CPS. Um, and yeah, so he has to have the random checks done and stuff to make sure that he's staying clean. The only thing is with the rug that he takes, it doesn't stay in your system. And if anybody doesn't know, uh, MJ, and I hope you know what that is, the lettuce, you know what I'm talking about. That's legal here in Canada. So when we're talking about rugs, we're not talking about that. That's like having a beer in your fridge. But we're talking about methany, what we call it on this channel. One of my viewers told me about that. And yeah, so he hasn't denied it, Norcraft. You're usually in Sunny's. I'm sure I've seen you in there. Or maybe it's Justin's I saw you in, but yeah. Stella Ramada, I agree. Why lie about a piece of blanket? Oh, absolutely. And you know, I was surprised they showed that blanket on Sunny's. It's a Criming Shame, and it's actually a good size piece. It's not like when I hear a piece, I picture like a little piece of blanket. To me, like it's a blanket. It's a blanket. It's a blanket big enough for a baby. Um, yeah. No, there's absolutely no reason why. No, in a missing kids case. There's no reason at all, and there's no reason to lie about this stuff as well that we're gonna get into. What is your evidence, Nova? I'm not sure what you're talking about, regarding Daniel with rugs. If that's what you were talking about, I just stated Daniel himself admitting it and discussing it openly in a chat. Um, it's the same here in Australia. Yeah. Oh, wow. Interesting. I wonder if common law marriage is a Commonwealth policy from the British. Oh, never thought of that. Yeah. Never thought of that, Ginger. Smart thinking. Uh, yep, there are too much inconsistencies and just outright bold lies. After 6 months, I believe, is common law. Oh, wow. They changed it. Yes, I am glad she gave us some actual evidence. Yeah, big time, big time. And I mean, not that we're do it, not, I'm not one here sitting saying, show me the evidence. But when it's given, I think, good, because it's not right that two people can go out and spew this garbage. So you have one, um, going after every group of individuals possible to say that they're the ones who did something to Lily and Jack, and then you have Daniel doing everything to make it look like Malay is guilty of doing something to the kids, and telling all these lies, and it needs to be stopped. It needs to be stopped. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And there's only, one reason why that would be taking place, in my opinion. But if you don't file as common law, the government, yeah, that's right. That's right. And they'll take money back. They'll take money from you too. They'll make you pay stuff. I discovered true crime with Chris Watts. Yeah, that was a bad one. Oh my gosh, that was bad. So sad. Grizzly and Plunder are good. Yes, they are. Yeah. Yeah, yes, I learned about Plunder too. I didn't know about Plunder. Ruby Frankie and her child abuse case was my first true crime experience. It was awful. Yeah. There's been some bad ones lately. So Chris Watts, Ruby Frankie, Lori Daybell, Stephen Stearns, like just, you know, oh, horrible, horrible. And Stephen Stearns went to court today. I've watched way more YouTube channels than I ever imagined I would, but I'm freaking curious to what happened. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I'm curious as to what happened and how to avoid, you know, we need to avoid things like this happening because, if many of you don't know, I don't know if you know or not, but there was a CPS call put in as well, and they had just recently visited the home. LOL, my neighbor has MJ plants in his backyard, never ending skunk smell. Yeah, I know. So you're saying yes to me saying about Daniel. So, and I had already said what, uh, that he openly talks about it. Anyone can make an Access to Information Act request to RCMP for $5 online. Really? Interesting. I didn't think that Canada did anything like that. Usually Canada's pretty closed lip. So access to information. But how open are they to giving it to you though? Like, are they going to look at who you are and what you want it for, or, what the information is? I don't think it's like the US where the US is an open book. Yeah. Norcraft, the RCMP has sealed all the files in this case. Yeah, I imagine they would have too. I figured that. Uh, Yeah. Hello, Susie from But First Coffee. I'm late but listening. If you want to come up on panel with me, you can come up. You don't have to show your face. You can put your avatar, your little circle up like mine if you want. Because I know you wanted to discuss this case. And now that stuff's really coming out, yeah, you're welcome to come up. Just let me know. I'll put the link in the chat, Susie. I can supply the link if you make me a mod for 5 minutes. You show me your driver's license and your social security, and I'll think about it. No, I'm joking. I can find the link. I'm pretty good at finding pretty much everything on the internet. But if you wanted, did you want to come up on the panel just to take part in the discussion? Oh, I see what you're saying. If I make, yeah, I got you. If I make you a mod, you'll put the link in the chat. Sure, I'll do that. Uh, let me see if I can figure it out. Delete comment. YouTube actually sent me a message today and said I need that I should consider making mods in the chat because my audience is growing. That's funny. Do you know what? I don't know how to make somebody a mod yet because I haven't had to do it. Huh. Hmm. Sorry, but I don't know how to do that yet. Okay. So, another thing I wanted to say, I had a little conversation from my last video, and it had stated, or sorry, there was a viewer named Dave who had put the comment in there. He didn't really agree with the fact that I was saying, there's facts that show that Daniel, is abusive. And I don't know about Malaya. Sometimes those relationships go both ways, right? I have no, so typically near the end, it does end up that it's both ways. um, and because I can tell you, anyway, yeah, I won't go into that. But anyways, there's just things I know that I can't talk about. Um, but and I was gonna, I said in the next video, because some things are just hard to help someone understand through messages. And I said, in the next video, I'll touch on it. And I was going to pull a few things out and do a little bit of education because I think that's important. If there are people who don't understand what abuse is and the signs and the symptoms, and um, I don't mind going through something and excuse me, and putting a bit of education out there. It's probably the nurse in me because we're all about educating. And but then I didn't have to pull anything together because then this came out. And this here, right here, Dave, if you're here listening, um, these are examples of abuse. So I didn't have to pull anything together. And if this is when 2 children are missing and Malaya's not even in the home anymore, I can't imagine what was going on prior to this. If somebody is willing to behave this way after 2 children, the mother, and this is the mother and the grandmother of the 2 children, and this is the behavior of Daniel. This is abuse. So, we'll just leave it at that. And if you want to learn more, go on the internet, look it up, and educate yourself. I'm assuming you're male, your name is Dave. Because if you don't understand that all of this is abuse, you probably should educate yourself and learn about that. It's important to have a good understanding, especially if you're a male. Okay, thanks, Norcraft. Thanks. So what I'll do is we'll start going over this material, And once we get near the end, I'll go to my email and post that link for anybody that wants to. And I hope you found my email okay. You're saying I'm emailing it to you, so I'm assuming you found it there. Solicitous00@gmail.com. Just be careful when modding a person. Do not give them all permissions because they can block people you don't want blocked. Yes, I witnessed that happen in another chat room. So yeah. Okay, Susie, I see. You can't. You're heading out today. Yep. I just thought I would. It's in the YouTube back office. Oh, thanks, Susie. Gotcha. Thanks. Um, and Steve. Yeah, I see. Yeah, yeah. He could send it to the email. Um, yeah, I actually seen that happen one time, Ginger, and he completely closed down her chat. I shouldn't laugh, but and she didn't ban him because he's autistic, and he did it a couple more times again after that, and I don't know if she did end up eventually blocking him. He actually comes into this chat sometimes too, and I let him be. Women need to be taught red flags in school. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, you take the words right out of my mouth. This is one of the things that I say. We need more education in school, and not just for the women, for the males, because I think we educate women and educate them on this and that and the other, but we need to be educating the guys, you know, what RAP is. Um, uh, why it can happen. Uh, all of this stuff, what abuse is. And our men, our fathers and grandfathers and older brothers and whoever, uncles need to be teaching young males this stuff as well. And mothers, and mothers. Yeah, I agree as well. Hi, Marlene. Welcome to the chat. All right, so let's take a look at this stuff. So, for any of you who are not caught up, I'll just give you a little bit of background so that context so you can understand what's going on here. Um, so first of all, you can see that I have Lilly&Jack Sullivan missing, last seen May 1st, 2025. In my last video, I had touched on how when the children first went missing, that it was stated that they were last seen May 2nd. And the very first post that the RCMP had put out on their site had stated May 2nd because they were going by what they were told in those early stages right then and there, that day, that morning. So that was the very first post they had put out on their RCMP Nova Scotia site on May 2nd, the day the children went missing. So then the alert came out on May 3rd. And for somebody else said they were from here, this area in Stellarton, you would have received it as well. And anybody else that's from this area would have received it and noticed. And you can see the highlighted area there. It states they were last seen on May 1st. It didn't say May 2nd. And I could never understand that. It always bothered me. I couldn't understand how they could make a mistake like that when it clearly had said, they were last seen on May 2nd. The father was continuously saying it and saying it. Malaya had said it once on her TV interview, and then she didn't say anything else after that. And she didn't say that she saw them. She said she heard them. And from there, I would go back. I would go back and look at that every once in a while and reread it and just, when something really bothers you and your brain's just trying to figure it out. And so I kept going back and I just could never understand it. And early off in all of this happening, it kind of irked me a bit with the RCMP because I thought, like, my goodness, like, how could they make such a mistake to put the wrong date out on a vulnerable missing persons, two little kids? And, and why didn't they put an Amber Alert out? Like, what is wrong with them, you know? And, so that, if you look at my early videos, is pretty much what you would hear, but we've come from there to here now, and now we know why. Now we know why, because Daniel's not truthful, and it was Daniel who stated he saw the kid, that he saw Lily. He saw Lily several times popping in and out of the bedroom. He even had to tell the kids to quiet down because they were being so loud and the baby was trying to sleep. He, like Daniel has told so many different stories, it's unreal. So then I finally clued in that RCMP are not listening to Daniel's accounts, stating that he saw Lily on the 2nd, the morning they disappeared. They are going by that May 1st. And they back that up also with the fact that when they received the footage, well, there was a witness that had seen them up in town as well. But for me, CCTV is the cat's meow. So I'm going by that, not the witness, because of course the camera doesn't lie. And they were also confirmed to be seen out with them in the afternoon up by the Highland Square Mall. And so, which is about 5-minute drive from where I live, if that. And yeah, so I finally clued in. It just hit me that this early on in the case, RCMP were not paying attention to the fact that he was stating that he saw Lily on May 2nd in the morning, or they would not have put that out as May 1st, last seen, in the Vunerable Alert that they had put out. And after that, like when I go back and I read all the RCMP stuff, I can only find one spot, and it's the very first morning they went missing. The first, which would be quick, they're trying to get it out there. It's a little bit more rush. It states May 2nd. And then after that, as they're gathering more information from the 2nd to the 3rd, it changed. They were last seen on May 2nd to they were last seen on May 1st. So I found that very interesting. And I did touch on it a bit in my last video, but people were wanting to talk more about another topic I had touched on, so we didn't go that deep into it. But I found that very interesting. Now, I did have a commenter say that they would be basing this, what you can see on screen, the Vunerable Alert, on the 911 call. That's not so. The information they would have put out that first day, the very first, early and the very first information they put on their RCMP website, that would have been based on that early information, which is why it would have said May 2nd. But now on May 3rd at 5:26 p.m. and 5:27 p.m., by then they had changed that to they were last seen on May 1st. That's not based on Malaya's 911 call. That's based on RCMP, and only this is the RCMP's alert. It's RCMP that puts this out, and only them can put this out. It's not 911. And if you listen to the recordings, you can go to Crime Timelines. It's a website, and everything is there, and all the emergency radio broadcast system recordings are there, and you'll hear them say that they were last seen at 8 in the morning on there. That is based on Malaya's 911 call, right? So that's what it would have been earlier on. So I'm just going to come over, check to see if there's anything. Sharon Parker, welcome to the chat. Thank you for being here. Education on emotional and financial abuse is needed, in my opinion. Yep. And coercive control. Absolutely. Ginger girls, yes, it is mandatory in Canada. Sharon. Oh, you guys are all chit-chatting with each other. I love it. It's raining here in Kelowna right now. I hope I'm saying that right. Kelowna. We had lots of rain, so I'm not going to complain about the nice weather. They were last seen by reputable source video cam. That's right. That's right. You can't, the camera doesn't lie. Yep. I would like to know if she really heard them, or is she relying on Daniel saying he heard them? And that's my thought as well. In my opinion, because now this is not fact, we don't know this, right? Only Daniel and Malaya would know this. But in my opinion, I believe at first Malaya was kind of going along with, because of course, as a parent, you're going to be trying to gather your own information. Oh, okay, well, you did hear them, and Janie said she heard them out in the yard playing by the swing. So okay, so we heard, so somebody heard them, right? I do believe that she was going by what she was being told, in my opinion. And that later on her light bulb went off as things started, you know. And it would really be hard for your light bulb to go off a little quickly that somebody's BSing you, because obviously you're traumatized, your 2 children are missing, right? And you're in shock, and you got somebody, just look at the bullshit, sorry, that he's been slinging our way. Like, holy heavens. Can you imagine what he was slinging at her, and how her head would just be spinning, and here your 2 kids are missing and you're in shock? And yeah, so I think, after a little bit of time, and then her people getting around her, her family, her friends, and helping her to kind of see the light here, that probably helped her light bulb to go off. Because remember, she was very secluded for a long time from family and friends. Drugs are rugs. I'm not monetized, so it doesn't hurt for me to say these words, but I like to practice YouTube laws. Unfortunately, I am from Halifax. Yeah, or I see what you're saying. Yeah, drugs are everywhere. Unfortunately, yeah, and you're from Halifax. Yeah, I know. It's too bad. And that's why I say it's a pandemic. Stella, the morning of, and Valerie, welcome. I don't know if I said that already, but I think that's the first time I saw your name. Welcome to the chat. The morning of, maybe. They don't believe either story, in my opinion. Oh yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, they don't know what's what. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think they're figuring stuff out. They obviously know Daniel's a compulsive liar, because the whole world knows that now. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. The kids are sweet. I know. It's just so heartbreaking. It's just so heartbreaking. Supposedly recorded by security cam in parking lot. Yeah, exactly, Norcraft. And yeah, you can't deny that, right? Like that's truth, which is awesome, because where Daniel is so untruthful, if there was no camera there, I know myself, I wouldn't believe it, but just because I can't. Because you can't with Daniel. Yes, Norcraft. Yeah, exactly. Malaya told Belinda that she seen the children when she put them to bed. Exactly. Yeah, 8 p.m. is the last time she said she saw them. So that would be the first. And the reason why I'm saying that on that Vunerable Alert is that they're probably, in my opinion, going by that Malaya's, after she left Daniel's, because remember, the Vunerable Alert wasn't put out till around 5:30 p.m. Malaya left Daniel's that homestead property at around 4 o'clock. And then coincidentally, after that, they come out with the Vunerable Alert stating they were last seen on May 1st, which is when Malaya states she last saw them. So it seems to me they're going by what Malaya is saying. They're not going by what Daniel said, that he saw Lily in the morning popping in and out of the room. And the reason why I'm saying probably going by Malaya, either way, it doesn't matter. We can confirm they were seen on May 1st via the cameras, whether they're going by Malaya or not. But they didn't go through that footage by then. They hadn't gone through the footage by then. That wasn't until a bit later that they had gone through the footage and then come out and said, we saw we found them on camera at this place, and it took a while to go through all the footage and stuff. So that's why I'm going by that they're probably going with what Malaya had said to them. And then they put the next alert out that it wasn't May 2nd, it was May 1st they were last seen. But we can also confirm that via the video footage. But they're all suspects. Oh, absolutely not a good source of info, in my opinion. Yeah. And I mean, we haven't really heard much from Malaya. However, in this stuff that we're going to take a look at here, one thing Daniel had said, so to give you guys some context, and this is what I'm talking about when Dave wants to know where do I get my evidence that Daniel is abusive? Well, this is just more evidence on top of all the other stuff that I could have pulled out of my hat. But so Daniel had stated that Malaya was not being truthful about when she called 911. He stated it was much later, I believe. If I'm saying anything wrong and anybody knows any different, correct me. I don't mind. I think correction is needed and stuff like this. It has to be correct. But because I'm just paraphrasing some the information that I'm recalling from my brain, and my short-term memory is not the greatest. I usually have everything written down. But if I recall correctly, he had stated that it was, and I think he said it was much later. But nonetheless, he stated it was not 10 o'clock, it was later. So, and I had to laugh at Sunny last night. She's so funny. She says, and Daniel stated it wasn't 10 o'clock, it was after 10 o'clock. And she says, well, he was right. It was 10:01. So, anyways, just to lighten the mood a little. Yeah, so he's right. It was later than 10 o'clock. It was 10:01. Anyways, it wasn't much later. It was 10. She called at 10. So, why is he doing that? Why is Daniel something as simple as that? What reason is there to lie about the mother of 2 missing children, the woman you supposedly love, and try to make it look like she's a liar by saying when she stated that she called at 911 at 10 o'clock, it wasn't 10 o'clock, it was much later. There is, it just, I don't understand. So Dave, that would be an example of abuse. That's called lying and manipulation. And not only is he doing it, but he's doing it to the woman he supposedly loves, whose children just went missing, that could be possibly not with us anymore. So there you go. So I don't think I need to say anything further. And as I said, you can go do your own education online as well. There's so much education out there now. Okay, so the other thing we have over here, again, I'll give you some context so you understand what this is. I know Ginger knows, and there's other people in here that know because they've been following it. So this is Malaya's mother, Cindy Murray, the maternal grandmother of these babies, okay? She you can see the timestamps here of the communication between Cindy and Malaya. You can see it clearly. Now, Daniel had said, and again, I'm paraphrasing, and if anybody knows that he said it any different than what I'm saying, as long as I'm close, I'm paraphrasing, that she arrived 15 minutes after RCMP. Now, explain that in quotations. That's Daniel saying that. Daniel says, now explain that. Because this was stated during the initial phases of this story that was trying to be passed off to all of us and the public and the world, that the children were taken and hidden by Malaya. And that I'm not even going to say where she hid them, because we know it's a bunch of farce. It's a bunch of craziness. It's a big farce. So I'm not even going to say where, but anybody that's been following it knows. And this is how this all started. This is, one of the things. This was his evidence that she did this. Okay. So the call was made to RCMP at 10 a.m. RCMP arrived, I think it was within 10-15 minutes. You can go back and read their articles. I'm sure they're not lying, but it was very quick. Okay. So that would mean that Cindy would have arrived between 10:30 and 11 o'clock. And Daniel is trying to tell us, well, how is that possible? How's that possible? Because Daniel's story is that Cindy had originally, because he's got everybody involved, him and his bestie have everyone involved in this. I say everyone but the kitchen sink and the mop. Okay. And I'm not going to name all of who they implicated in this, because it's all lies. None of it's true. But Cindy was one of them. And so this is part of their evidence, right? That this was all planned out. And the reason why Cindy got there so quick was because she was already in town anyways, because she was the one that the kids were put in the car with her. This was one of the stories, mind you. There's many. There's many people who put the kids in the car. There's like numerous people, according to Daniel and his bestie's stories, who put the kids in the car, and Cindy was one of them. Okay. And then they moved on to somebody else and somebody else and somebody else. It's all lies. I'm not putting this out there as fact. This shows that it's not true. Okay. Anyways, I don't know how Cindy could not put this information out quicker, because boy, oh boy, it must have took a lot for her to bite her tongue and keep her hands tied, because I would have been so frustrated. I would have had that information out there long ago. Do you know what? I don't know why, but I can see on my phone that your guys' chat, your information's coming up, but it's not coming up. Okay, there, I just had to. Sorry, your comments weren't coming up on my computer, but I can see them on my phone, but I just did something on the computer and then it refreshed. Sorry. But I will take a look in a minute once I finish going over this. So, and both of these are from It's a Criming Shame, guys, okay? If you want to go to that channel too, because she's going to be on tonight with some more information. I believe it's tonight now, unless she has to change due to anything. But as far as she said last night, she's pretty sure she'll be on tonight. It's a Criming Shame. She's in BC, so it's usually typically on her time. So you can say probably between 8 and 10-ish usually. Sometimes she comes on earlier, but she's going to touch on some more stuff tonight that's going to be quite interesting. So these are from her show from last night. Okay. Great show. She gets the information. I give her credit big time, and she has the patience of a saint. I will say that. I couldn't do what she does. I honestly couldn't. Even the nurse in me couldn't. Yeah, so as you can see, none of that is true. None of what Daniel's saying is true. Now, again, remind you because you can see the timestamps there. So this is where her and Malaya are actually talking, and Malaya is telling her that the kids are missing. So we have 11:33. I got to get up closer. And then we have 12:01, right? So she's not there yet. She's on her way, right? So there's 11:33, 12:01, she's not there yet. That's a half hour. Then Malaya tells her, she says, "I'm on my way." Malaya says, "Okay." Then they did a video call. And then she's not there yet, right? At 12:24. And she's saying, "Send an Amber Alert." That just breaks my heart. My God, that breaks my heart. She's not even there yet. And she's trying to communicate. She's like, "I'm not waiting until I get there." She's trying to communicate in her car while she's driving, telling Malaya, "Tell the police to send out an Amber Alert." Now, remind you, this is Daniel's first victim of saying that, she was involved in these kids being taken off the property and hiding them somewhere. And I say victim because it is a victim of Daniel's lies and manipulation. And this is the grandmother of the children, right? The real grandmother, the maternal grandmother. And he's saying she had something to do with this. So now, does it make sense she's going to say, "Tell the police to put out an Amber Alert"? That's foolish. But anyways, that message just broke my heart when I read it. And she's trying to tell Malaya, "Tell the police to get an Amber Alert out." My God, that's sad. Okay, so now that I've gone through all that, I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. Yeah, Daniel is smearing her. Yeah, he's smearing everyone he can, right? And you have to ask yourself, why? Why? Why lie about a blanket? Why lie about saying when Malaya says she called 911? Why lie about her mother and say that she kidnapped the kids and has them hidden somewhere? That it's a orchestrated abduction by Malaya and her mother. And she took the kids and she has them somewhere and he knows it because she was there 15 minutes after RCMP got there. None of it's true. It's all a big lie, a fictional story. And when you're that desperate to lie about two missing children, first of all, to lie about the mother of the children, to lie about the grandmother of the children, and to lie when you know there's digital footprints out there now. There's your 911 digital footprints. And kudos to them for taking pictures, screenshots of this. Kudos to them and putting it out there. And there's your digital footprint of the conversation between Cindy and Malaya and the Times. I mean, how desperate was Daniel? Is he in saying the things he's saying, knowing that this stuff is out there, that this information is out there? So I'm going to go back and take a look at the comments. I'm done saying everything I have to say there. And I want to know what you guys are saying. And of course, we all have different opinions, and that's okay. I just ask that you keep it respectful. Don't call anybody names unless you're calling Daniel and his no, don't even go there. I can call them idiots here, but that's as far as we'll go. And if you watch my last video, you know what I'm getting at. Okay, I'll go through some of these comments, guys, and then I'm going to go to my email and grab that link. That Nor sent to me. I would like to know if she really heard. Okay, we read that one. Drugs are everywhere. Yep. The morning of, maybe they didn't leave. Yep. Still, suppose will be recorded. Yep. Oh, I'm way too far back, but they're all suspects. Yep. Yeah. Crime Timeline. Yes. Crime Timelines, guys. It's a website. And they have everything from the first day until now, and it's all up to date. They have every news article, all the recordings. If you're ever looking for any information, I learned that from Gavin Fish. Um, yeah, and yeah, they did an awesome job, and they do other cases as well. No one has been cleared yet. Exactly. Everything is hearsay and or a lie, in my opinion. Yep. Yep. I wonder if Daniel realizes that all of his dishonest statements now make him a hostile witness in the eyes of the RCMP. I agree. I agree. Yeah. I can't, like, I mean, when you're that desperate to tell lies, under all the circumstances that I just listed, like 2 kids missing. This is your 2 missing kids. You're smearing the mother, the grandmother, and other people, um, uh, indigenous groups and group of people. You're smearing everybody, and there's by now we all know there's digital footprint. Like, how desperate are you? You know, to do that, and why, there's it's not good. The more and more this stuff comes out, and the more and more it's stuff like this, my stomach sinks. I get that really, that fall that you get in your stomach. I get that feeling like, just, oh, this is not good. At Ginger Girl's mom, not at him. Annabelle, welcome. Welcome to the channel. Daniel hinted the time was off, but turns out it really wasn't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it wasn't off at all by 1 minute. Yeah. No, and he didn't hint. He actually said that wherever it was that I read it, that he had said it, um he it was blatant, like, what he had said, and it might have been the text between him and there's so much information out there now, which is great, but it might have been the text between him and Shar. uh yeah, it was pretty blatant what he said. I had heard the 911 call was at 9:48 a.m., but I am not sure where I saw that comment. Yep, but even that's not too far off. No, the comment that he made it sound like Malaya was just way out there lying. 10 o'clock was a big farce. Like, um, I wish I had a thought to pull it up. But if you guys go digging yourself, you'll find it. But no, he had, and that's why that was shared. That is why they shared that, to show that him making that statement, and I'm sure, again, I'm paraphrasing and going by memory, that it was way later than 10 o'clock. Or maybe he said way earlier. I can't remember, but I thought it was way later. But anyways, no matter. Whatever it was he stated, he lied. Yeah, 10:01, I know, for God's sakes. In my opinion, yeah, it was later, because even Sunny said last night. Yeah, I'm questioning myself now, but no, even Sunny said, because she had repeated it too and said that he had said later, and she laughed because she goes, and he was right. It was 10:01. Yeah, in my opinion, Daniel is high as a kite. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the sad part is, like I said, the rug that he uses, it's not one that stays in the system. I guess depending on how they're doing his test too. But it just makes me nervous, right? Because he's around that baby, but I guess CPS supposedly knows what they're doing. Let's hope. Daniel is a master manipulator, in my opinion. Absolutely. Just, we're able to counteract this stuff because he's putting it in writing, and we can go back and look and go, no, you said this here, now you're saying this, and whatever. But yeah, like if you were in front of him, like if Malaya living with him, his mother, I believe he's probably got his mother wrapped around his finger. And that's why I've never really touched on her and I don't like to do any of that anyways. To me, it's got to be evidence and fact that with the mom, that, uh, I'm not saying like, oh, she's involved too, and this and that, like stuff I'm hearing on other channels because uh, they are dealing with a manipulator, a liar, someone who is going to do anything for rugs and to hide it. They they manipulate everyone around them, and that is the spouse they're living with, their partner, their mother, their brother, their father, their coworker. Like that's what they do. And yeah, you would become a master manipulator. And I don't put his mother in any different type of category. And on top of that, too, it's her son, and a mother loves her son. So, you know, God knows what she's believing that Daniel's telling her that we can see right through. We can do an access to information request for the 911 call. Uh, I don't know, nor if they'd put that out because again, everything I believe it would be sealed. I think everything is sealed, but I'll look. I'll look into it and see. I will. Yeah, I'm game. Daniel is smearing her. He sure is. And a bunch of other people too, not just her. Yes, the RCMP were already in the area searching for the kayaker that was missing, found deceased. I heard this on dispatch. Yep, that's right. And thought it was the children. That's right, because it was all blending together when you're listening to the radio, because I was listening to the radio or the the ones that are on crime timelines and plunder and yeah, it all blended together, but because I live here I knew what they were talking about. So because I know Lake and Road is on one side of the county, and Garden of Eden is on the other side of the other side of the county. And as a nurse I used to do some work down there. So and I know how, the distance and stuff. I can't believe they say that they were there within 10 minutes though, because uh they I mean they must go some fast. Well, I've seen them go pretty fast because that's quite a drive, because I used to have to drive down there for work, and it's a 45-minute drive for me, and I follow the speed limit. It's a gorgeous drive. It's all back road. So, yeah. Yeah, the only way you can go is back road. There's no highway. You have to go back road. They would just be flying on those roads. Why nor? Why ask for another alert if kids were in the woods, though? Well, her and her mom had a video call. Now, you have to understand that the narrative that was trying to be pushed, and in my opinion, it was Daniel trying to push it, and I feel like Malay was just listening to his shit show that was going on. Um, he was saying that they were abducted, that he felt they were abducted. So if you see there were video calls. So my assumption would be that she must have said during one of those video calls to her mother that we think they might have been abducted, or Daniel thinks they were abducted, or whatever, right? That was, however, which way was relayed to her, to Cindy, and then they must have finished that call, I'm assuming, and then you can see in a little bit, then Cindy was probably thinking of that in her head, and then says, tell them to send an Amber Alert. Um, and that's the only thing that I can think of there. And so, Mama Angie, I know you've been following this, so and you'll remember that too, right? That was the narrative that was trying to be pushed at first. We all know that that's a fact, right? in my opinion, I feel it was Daniel that was trying to really push that narrative, and till Malaya's light bulb went off, she was probably following suit. Good question, though, because there's probably people here that didn't know that. Mama Angie, the 911 was being discussed. The 911 was being discussed. Why not get the true record from police? Yeah, I doubt that they would give that out, like I said, just because this is ongoing. And it's enough for me just to know that, we can see now that we can confirm again more lies that Daniel's spreading, that it wasn't way later the 911 call went in, and none of this stuff about Cindy is true. I don't recall him saying Cindy took them. Oh yeah, when the very first thing, when this first started that they were taken, he was saying that, or it might have been the other, his best buddy, that pushed that narrative, which is all between him and Daniel, that it was Cindy at first. It was Cindy, and he was saying, ask yourself why she was in town so early. And he might not have come right out and said that, but then he said he was pushing the story that Malaya had them taken. And then he was saying, ask yourself why Cindy was in town so early. Why was she there 15 minutes after RCMP arrived? So whether he come right out and said it or just insinuated, it was said, implied. I'd have to go back and search through everything to remember exactly, but yeah, it was part of the storyline. Yeah. Deflection. Yeah, Steve says. Yeah, lots of that, eh? Yeah. Maybe Daniel is getting this from the many psychics. Well, there was one that told a similar story, so I think he gets a lot of what he says from between him and his best buddy coming up with stuff together, putting their two heads together. Woo. And from stuff that all of us are saying, discussing on these stories, whether it be the psychics or just me sitting here. There's been things that I've said, and then the next time one of them would come out, you could tell that they're listening to stuff that myself and the other folks are saying, because they'd fill in a gap that we had touched on and said, well, that doesn't make sense, and then the next thing you know, they're filling in that gap. So definitely, yeah. I really didn't think it would take this long. Well, no, at first I thought they'd be found right away because I believe they were in the woods. And then when they weren't in the woods, my brain went to somebody abducted them, and I didn't think it was stranger. I felt, it's somebody that is in the circle of the kids, meaning, like somebody that sees them driving by the house, a neighbor, or just somebody local, or somebody that knows them from school, or a friend of the family, or whatever, relative, excuse me, that, because most abductions are like that. And I stuck with that for a little bit. And then I would still believe that if Daniel wasn't online spewing all the stuff that's being spewed, and the lies and the inconsistencies, the contradictions, I would probably still believe that. It's only because of Daniel himself that I realized that's not true either. There's something else going on here, because there's no reason for you to lie about these things. Nova, I like this format where you pause to read chat. Makes it two-way. Yeah. And I think it's nice to do it that way. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment, Nor. That's nice to get positive feedback is nice. Agree at Nora. It's more interactive. Yeah. Yeah. Let's not forget, Mama Angie, let's not forget that Darewood. I didn't want to hear his name, Mama. Why did you have to do that? Now you made me say it. Let's not forget that Darewood said things that are just BS. Oh, yeah. As confirmed by Janie yesterday. Well, I don't know what all she said yet, but um I did hear Sunny say that there was some of what she had said was not lining up with what Darewood said. Um, and she's going to touch more on that tonight. She said, now if she's on tonight, sometimes things happen. You're just too tired or whatever the case. She usually pushes herself to keep going though. Because she works too, right? Like I don't work, but I have health conditions, so it's hard for me to come on every day too. Like after doing this today, I don't have a lot of spunk, or what's my doctor call it? Longevity, or there's a certain word he uses and it won't come to me. But this'll do me in for a couple of days just doing this. And like I'll have a lot of facial pain and stuff afterwards, and I'll have to kind of rest my jaw and let the pain go away and put some heat on it. And it's just the condition that I have. But so it's harder for me, although I don't work, to do this as often as Sunny does. But she works and she's pretty much on every day. So God love her. The RCMP media department is good at getting transcripts of all comments made on social media. Oh yeah, media platforms. They can be used against you in a court of law allegedly. Oh yeah, definitely. Because of course they can trace it back to you, right? If I were just to take some screenshots or whatever, that's probably questionable. They can't trace it back to somebody, if I was saying, oh, this person's harassing me or whatever the case may be, but they could probably try to fight it. But as far as how they do things, oh yeah, they can trace it right to you. And plus they took Daniel's phone and gave it back to him. And I don't think they're that stupid that, they didn't get information from his phone, that they wouldn't be keeping an eye on that as well. Yeah, I learned a lot from the Amber Kerwin case that had happened here. Yeah, and they were watching everything online then as well. I don't know if it was the RCMP or New Glasgow Police Force, but they ended up having to work together with that case, which I'm sure they do with a lot of cases because one department would have things that another wouldn't and vice versa. But it ended up that although this took place, in the Glasgow's jurisdiction, the abduction, her remains and where her remains and where the unaliving took place was RCMP jurisdiction. So I kind of learned a lot from following that case, and I see a lot of similarities with that case in this as far as the behavior of some people in the public, like Darewood and doing what he's doing and stuff like that. Ginger, yes, OPP Cyber is tracking it. Yeah. His mom spoke yesterday. That's right. She spoke, and what she did was do the voice to text in the Facebook message thing, and sent them in little increments. So Sunny, because she worked and, and then once she got home and did the live, she just kind of talked about the fact that she has them, and she talked about a couple of things, but she wants to be accurate in her information, and it was a lot of information to take in. So she wants to go through them again very carefully and decide or make sure that she's given the correct information, and probably decide what she wants to put out there that's appropriate. And she said she would be on tonight. So again, it's a Crimimg shame. You can see it right at the picture there. The picture, it says a Crimimg shame. If you put that in YouTube, the channel will come up, but the channel's actually called It's a Crimimg Shame. with Sonny and Shar, and Kent, who is local here to Pictou County. He's on it as well, quite a bit actually, due to this case. Super Dan, Super Dan, the gaslighter extreme. You're funny. Now I know I when I watch Granny's Crime Busters and she's chuckling, like the stuff that you guys say is so funny. And you're so yes, you're not rude, you're not ignorant, you're just just something little as that. Super Dan the gaslighter. And you have to lighten the mood because it's heavy topic, right? It's heavy topic. No one thinks Malaya is guilty. Well, in my opinion, I have no idea. I have no idea of what she is guilty of, if it's just guilty knowledge, if it's more than that. I know one thing. So far, I've seen that the stuff that she's been saying is truthful. You know, she said she called RCM or 911 at 10 o'clock. There it is. Um, she, uh, she said the last time she saw the kids, was when she put them to bed the night before. I believe that to be true. Um, when she did say she heard them outside playing. Now, she didn't say that that's untrue because we haven't heard anything from her since. So whether that's true or not, in my opinion, I think she was going by what Daniel and Janie had said, or one of them. Because I believe she said, we heard them. And when I hear someone say, we heard them, I sometimes feel like you're not saying I. So to me, that means that somebody else is possibly saying that, or that you both did hear them. So yeah, I have no idea of what she's guilty of or not. I can only focus on Daniel right now because of all his lies, and we have fact of it. We have the facts. Like this right here on the screen is fact. This is from RCMP. This is a 911 outgoing call. This is a screenshot of Cindy and Malaya's conversation. This is real, true facts. It's and evidence. The RCMP would have this as evidence. We're looking at evidence right here because they would want to know, what is fact and what isn't. They need to know that stuff too. Um, so, but Mama Angie, hopefully we will find out who all is involved with what took place here and who is guilty, and hopefully they're brought to justice because, something's wrong. We know that. Mama Angie, I think Malaya does have guilty knowledge of some kind. Yeah. And possibly something else. We don't know. Aunt Mama, she's guilty of something. I mean, neglect at the very least as well, right? If nothing else. If, definitely, because whether, any of that took place because maybe she has addictions too, maybe it's due to the stress of an abusive relationship, maybe it's because of this or that. At the end of the day, those are your children. And yeah. And I have a hard time saying that as well because we know she was starting to reach out to people. The people that she disconnected from, she was reaching back out to them. She reached back out to Belinda. She reached back out to some family members and was saying that she wanted to leave there. So, yeah, they're both guilty of, there you go, Stella. They're both, so I think everybody's on the same page, right? They're both guilty of neglect. And I wasn't reading any of that before I said it. I'm just, as I'm reading it, coming up with the same conclusions as you guys do because you're reading it too. 2 children are missing. Exactly. Exactly. They can't take care of themselves. Somebody's supposed to be taking care of them, right? She lost 2 freaking kids. Come on. Yep. I know, Steve. It's heartbreaking. They had a helicopter in the air. Yep. They had a couple of them, actually. Valerie, thank you. Oh, did I must have missed a question there, and then Norcraft answered for you. Well, that's good. I'm sorry if I missed a question. Mother can make mistakes, but I don't know a mom around that would act like this. You don't know what, mom? Yeah. Neglect at the least, I mean. Yep. Yep. Look at Rachel Todd. Yep. Yep. I agree. Yeah, and then like he was spanking the kids and she didn't like it and she disagreed. Um I just can't talk about being in somebody else's shoes because we know that there was some stuff in her life as well that she experienced, right? And then we go into the whole um Aboriginal thing, and she's half native and how they're more at risk of being in relationships with abuse and that cycle, right? That cycle. And that's statistics. You know, I'm not making that up or just talking willy-nilly. That's statistics. And but I just know myself like I just wouldn't allow it. I know I would not allow that. Like my husband that I'm married to now, he's the stepfather of my two boys. And when we first met and I decided, we were going to be in a relationship, like it was made very clear. If you ever touch my kids, we're done. That's just how it is. We are done. You're never to discipline them unless you see something like they're going to be in danger or hurt themselves. Yes, step in and do what you need to do. But outside of that, no type of discipline. I wish CPS would have been more aggressive. I know. And that's why I say we need to understand this stuff to do better. If you know better, you do better. And how many times in cases like this have we heard CPS were at the house? CPS, there's some type of CPS involvement. We hear the about autism with the kids. Like I just saw another one on Justin's the other day. The little fella that went missing and they found him under the bridge, unalived, 8 years old, autistic. And it was presumed that these kids had something going on. I don't believe they were autistic. I think it has to do with all the stuff going on in their life, in my opinion, and just based on stuff I have seen. um, but either way, whether it's autistic or just children troubled from life circumstances, um, yeah, it's just sad. It's so sad. Do you think it's going cold? I feel it's not going cold right now. Now that could change. And the reason why I'm saying that is because when I followed the Amber Kerwin case, I saw things heating up to this point where it was just really getting ridiculous with the lies being confirmed and people were starting to get fed up and because it was on Facebook. It wasn't on YouTube, but it was on Facebook and followed very carefully by the community. And people were getting fed up. It was like, okay, it's obvious this guy did this. Will you please do something? Arrest him, do what you need to do. And eventually they did, and they caught him with everything in his car that he shouldn't have had. And he had just been out of prison, I think it was like 6 months or maybe a little bit more. It wasn't over a year, it was under a year. And for unaliving a taxi driver when he was 15. With a garrote, and he was released, and within, like I said, I believe it was 6 months. It's the Amber Kerwin case if you wanna look it up. He did this to this poor girl, and she was just young, and so when they pulled him, what they did was pull him over, and because he was still on, whatever that's called when you get out of when you get out of jail, starting to get a little brain fog. Um, when you first get out of jail, they were able to take him in because he had rugs, he had a knife, he had parts of a gun. And that's what they do. They take the gun apart and have it in parts so that it's not all together, so you can't charge them with a gun, having a gun. Like, oh my God, ugh, these people like that. And so, and then they found her after that while they had him and locked up. They finally found her and were able to proceed with the case. And it was actually my brother-in-law that found her on a road that they had searched over and over and over. Like, they had everything set up there, like they had it set up like out at with Jack and Lily. And then they finally called off the search and packed everything up, and away they went. And my brother-in-law, his gut just kept telling him, no, she's on that road somewhere. He just couldn't get rid of the feelings. So he went back out with another officer and they found her. So I just have this feeling that we're reaching that peak like we reached with that case here in our county. That, I mean, how can you ignore this stuff? How can you ignore all these lies? And like, but then again, maybe they need some type of evidence to go along with that, right? Like, and unfortunately, like, I'm just got my fingers crossed. Like, when they put that 150,000 out, that kind of told me that maybe the only evidence they have is Lily and Jack, and they can't locate them. So without locating them, they don't have their evidence. Like, that's so I guess I'm on the fence with it. Daniel has the new girlfriend. I heard. I don't know. Next victim is all I can say. Deborah Glenn, welcome to the channel, Deborah. Hi from Ontario. It is cooking here and smoky. I heard that. I heard that from another one of our viewers. Stella just got a heat wave warning 3 times. Oh, wow. They're really making sure you guys know. What time? What time? Are you asking what time the heat wave was? What time Sunny's on tonight? I'm trying to think of what I talked about that would have had a time. Just let me know what time regarding what, and I'll try to answer you. Or maybe you're talking to somebody else in the chat. Oh, I'm not 100% sure. With Sunny, you don't know. But I would say possibly between 8 and 9. It could be earlier, you never know. If you go to the channel and subscribe, and then click on subscribe again, and then hit notifications, the little black bell, you'll get a notification, and it'll let you know that the show's on so you don't miss it. Which reminds me, everyone, please hit the like, and if you wish, subscribe. You don't have to, and share if you wish. Ginger, Deborah Glenn, yes, it is screaming hot here. Yeah, bad air quality. It's starting to get warm up here now. I'm starting to sweat a little. Good day to stay indoors. Yeah, I wish we hadn't have gotten rid of our pool, but oh well. The show tonight, yeah. Yeah, Sunny show. So, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I think I've touched on everything. Oh, wait. We gotta put up Nora's, please tell me I have my email open here. Because if I don't, it might take me a bit to get into it. Gmail. Just give me 1 second while I look up my Gmail so Nora can, I can put that up. Why don't I see it there? Did you send that, Nor, to if you're still here? You're welcome, guys. Thank you for being here. Nor, if you're still here, did you send that to solicitous00 at gmail.com? Because I don't see it there. Yes. Okay, let me see if I can find it. I usually get a little confused in this box because I don't use it a lot. Where the junk is, maybe it went to junk. Less important chat scheduled. All mail. Spam. I can't find it there. I don't know why it's not coming up, but I will figure it out. And in my next chat, I promise you I'll put it up and I'll remind people what it's basing, the context behind it. Like I only have 5 emails in there, so it's not like it's buried somewhere. So I don't know why it wouldn't be coming up. But I did just buy a new phone, and I noticed when I went into to something else on my computer because of my new phone and setting stuff up and connecting it, it took a while for that to update. So I'll just leave that email open and see if it has to update something because of me buying my new phone. And we'll put it in the next one. Okay. So guys, thanks for being here. Don't leave before you see the outro because it helps to just kind of lighten the mood a little bit, and it's kind of cute. So it lightens the mood on the way out the door. So lots of love and positive vibes, everyone. Take care, and we will see you. Access to information. Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. Look for it. And we'll see you next time. Okay. Take care, everyone. Bye.